So guess what I went and just saw? Jurassic World Dominion. Now, as a fan of the Jurassic Park game, I said games, movies. There is a game though. That was pretty cool back for the Sega Super Nintendo. But as a fan of the franchise, I went in this with, I won't say super high expectations, but minimum high. So I say pretty good high expectations, but you know, a room for wiggle room for disappointment. And for the most part, I was okay. I had some gripes here and there, but before we dive into it, welcome everybody. If you don't know, I like to give you a synopsis first before we get into what I thought of the movie. 4 years after the destruction of Isla Nublar, dinosaurs now live and hunt alongside humans all over the world. This fragile balance will reshape the future and determine once and for all whether human beings are to remain the apex predators on a planet they now share with history's most fearsome creatures. So, as you just heard, this movie takes place 4 years after Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. And we get to see how the world has adapted to the decision that her name is Macy, right? Yeah, has basically created when she decided to release the dinosaurs into the world. So this movie, like I said, movie picks up 4 years later, and we find out that there's a new type of disasters that's happening now, thanks to this correlation of humans and dinosaurs. And we find, and for not to spoil anything, and may or may not be what you think. The way how you go into this movie, you picture this big circle, and it's not too far off from the big circle, inner circle. And what I mean is the big circle is the overall theme of this movie, which is the correlation, the coexisting of now dinosaurs and humans into the world. But the movie focus on this inner circle. The main focus is on this inner circle, and this inner circle plot or secondary plot. That's why I said it's not so big. It's not like this little small, like a small circle within the big circle. This is like, it's like the big circle, and there's like a miniature big circle within the circle. So basically, what I'm trying to say is these two plots blend into each other, but when you see the movie, you'll feel like it's focused more on this inner circle plot, which is that of a kidnapping movie. You get that feeling like it's a kidnapping movie with the name Jurassic Park or Jurassic World Dominion and slapped onto it, and the dinosaurs are there and in the background, but the main thing, at least for the modern day, so that's why I give them credit for this movie, is that basically both plots are for the separate groups. You got the OG group and you got the modern day new group, and the secondary plot is for them, for the modern day new group. And the overall plot, the big circle, is for the OG group. And the other thing I would praise this film for is how beautifully it blends them in together to where you don't even realize until you remember how it started, how when in the movie it actually became one mission for the one group became the same mission for the other, and then kind of just like first they started off here, but as the movie goes on, you see them slowly converging until it becomes like it does it so perfectly. Like, oh man, I didn't realize it until I just thought about it. That's when they became their missing became their missing, their missing became their missing. But yeah, we pick up. We get to be reintroduced to the OG group of where their lives are now. We kind of got it in the last movie for Malcolm, but we get it more so here too. Grant and Ellie, we see how things have progressed since the last time we saw them. Grant is still obviously on dig sites, and we more or less get a backstory on the update of the life of Ellie and where her life has taken her. And her life has taken where her life has taken her is far removed from where she started with Grant and from Jurassic Park, the first movie. And you know, not to give things away, but there's a little ray of hope between Ellie and Grant this time around. And I say that because it has something to do with Ellie's where she at currently. That's why I say when you get the reintroduction of them, where she at currently, there's a ray of hope for them too. On the flip side, to the modern day group, we get to see where they're at. We get to see Owen, Claire, they and how their dynamic with Macy is now. You know how they kind of have this mother, father, daughter bond together with each other. She's even in the rebellious teenager phase. But when this movie picks up and when we get into why we're here, you know, what's this new problem for this new movie, and we get this, that's where actually Ellie comes in. The main problem that brings the OG characters in is what the main problem of the movie is. So it's like they written the way how you gotta look at it is they written the main problem for for this entire movie was written for the OG characters, because that's their mission. Their mission is the main problem, and then the kidnapping problem is for the modern day group. And the main that's where Ellie comes in. She's the you hear about how she's the first one. Well, you would think she got tongue tied, but basically, one of the OG characters tells Ellie, and Ellie goes recruits the other. And if you've seen the trailers, you know who she go recruits. So that tells you who told her about the main problem. Then we got the kidnapping part. Their character and two people are kidnapped in this movie. A certain character and a certain creature or child of a creature. They are, and that's where Owen and Claire and them come in. Claire is on this mission to try to save these animals, and you know this, and for her part, she's working with two people from the previous movie, who has British camo, a person from that we haven't seen since Jurassic World makes a camo appearance in this movie. We get to see where he's at, and that's a spoiler because I said he. So I give you a hint of who it was. So just if you was wondering who I'm talking about, just go and look at the cast or watch the movie of Jurassic World and watch Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and you will see who hasn't been seen since the first movie, since the first Jurassic World. And that person makes a camo. Claire's two sidekicks from the previous movie makes a camo in here. And you get to see how their lives shaped out as well. Then, like I said, once these two separate groups got their missions, that's when the race is on, right? Because one group, the OG, is dealing with something that's catastrophic to the world, while the other group is dealing with something that's just personal to them. But as the race to get to the goal, you start to see that instead of going like this to get to their goals, it goes like this. And they assume that's how this movie brings together the new group and the OG group together, because both their goals end up leading to the same place. Not for the dinosaurs. Now the dinosaurs looked good. The main thing about this series, this new starting with Jurassic World to now, is that they've been on and off with the CGI and the practical effects. The Jurassic World did good. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom was it could have been better, and then they did better here than they did Fallen Kingdom, but there was still some spotty CGI, where basically I will get into a moment, because that's actually one of my gripes. But yeah, for the most part, if you love the Jurassic Park series, along with the Jurassic World, trilogy, you will love this movie. This movie is very much for the diehard fans. There's a lot of dinosaurs. They introduced some new ones. They introduced the new dinosaurs. There's new prehistoric creatures. One of which is actually a main point of the main plot. It had everything. It had nostalgia. It had the tense the moments that was tense, because you got these characters up with these dinosaurs that could really hurt them, and it gets very tense. They have all of that. All that's there. Everything, all the cookies and cream and all the knickknacks that make a Jurassic Park or Jurassic World movie is there. Where I was mentioning earlier, my nitpick about the CGI was that in this trilogy, like I was saying before, of the new ones from Jurassic World to Jurassic World Dominion, is that it's been up and down with the CGI. And I took a point away from this movie because of that. Because everything else was good. I enjoyed the story, the plot. I kind of didn't like. Well, you know what? Actually, I switched that around. The kidnapping thing. Was the kidnapping thing the reason why I took a point away? Yeah, it was. This is not what I'm talking about now. Is not. This is like just a nitpick that I don't take points away from nitpicks. But it kind of took me out at times when I saw dinosaurs. I'm like, yo, that's heavy CGI. The one thing that was good about the original trilogy, they used practical and CGI, and it was always a good balance. Maybe Lost World had a little bit of but then again, it only had to work with one dinosaur, because the rest of the movie took place on the mainland. And speaking of which, this movie shares a lot with that movie. Jurassic, if you're looking for like a thing that this movie takes from the original movies, this movie is heavily Jeff Goldblum's Lost World Jurassic Park. Because like the second half of that movie, this whole movie is basically what the second half of that movie is. And basically what I mean is the whole movie takes place not on the island, but it takes place in the States. Because you see, like in the synopsis says, this is global now. These dinosaurs have reproduced, and they all over the world now. So that's the thing. We introduced to some new characters. We got one named Kayla. You seen her in the trailer. She's the pilot. We have another new character who may or may not be on the side of good or evil, and we get to see a fourth OG member, as we saw in the trailer, Dr. Henry Wu. He comes back. Can't forget about him. There's a little bit of redemption for him in this movie, but I have talked enough. The heist part is, before I get into the verdict, the heist part was just like, it was like, it didn't work for me, but I was glad that it wasn't like a main point in the movie, because it only worked when it started to converge. Then it worked for me. But had this movie just been about that, and then the dinosaurs were just there, I would have had a whole different thing I was talking about. it was like it did, at least for the modern day characters, two people being kidnapped and then them had to go rescue them. If that was just like the overall thing, it would just been like because it really wouldn't work for me, because Jurassic Park never been known for that. But the thing that does have it is there are a group of people who wants to use the dinosaurs. You know, the world has adapted with black markets and all that type of stuff, and there's a group of dinosaurs. There's chaos with these that wants the dinosaurs. There's chaos with the dinosaurs, and you got the heroes. Overall, since I took 1 point away, this movie, I wouldn't even, it's not a 9 or a 10, it's a 8 out of 10 big ups, because it wasn't a 9 or a perfect 10, but it definitely could have been a 9. But like I said, I took a point away for the fact that I didn't really care for the heist part of it, of the plot and the thing, but everything else I actually liked and enjoyed. Is this a movie that you could go to the movies to see if you haven't seen it yet? If you ask my opinion, should you go to the movies to see this? Yes, especially if you're a fan of the series. Is this or the flip side? Should I wait till this come out, or is this movie good enough to buy if I wanted to buy the movie? As for me personally, as a fan of the series, I would say yes, because I have every movie, every Jurassic Park movie, and every Jurassic World movie up until this one. I would say yeah, because it would make no sense for me not to buy it. But if I'm just trying to sell it to you, if you're a fan of the movies and you, like me, have brought in some of the movies, you might want to put this in your movie collection. But it's not a bad movie. It's a good movie to watch. Like, it's one of those movies where when I buy it on DVD, it is a movie I could go watch if I want to have a marathon of Jurassic Park movies. Like, I want to watch from Jurassic Park to Jurassic World Dominion. It's a movie I would like to have in my collection. With that being said, though, if you enjoyed this review, you hit this button right there in the upper right corner for all of my reviews. And if you enjoyed this review so much you want to support the channel, all you gotta do is hit that like, subscribe, share, hit that notification button, also hit that thanks button, and hit that join button if you want to see full reaction to your favorite TV shows. And as always, hit any one of the videos for more of my amazing content, but don't go anywhere because I got the WWE Monday Night Raw review and some more reactions. And very soon, gameplay will return to the channel. So, peace out.